right, now we're going to talk about day 2 at Lake Eufuala for the MLF Invitational. After day 1, I was sitting in 17th place. I had 17-11. Really good day to get the third tournament kicked off. At this point, I knew I was in pretty good shape. I believe 14 and change was sitting at that 50 cut, so you needed to be in the top 50 to make day 3. So from there, first goal was to catch probably, if it was 14, I would say 28 would have been safe. Usually it'll drop a little bit, 27, and it was supposed to be super windy, so I knew the weights were going to drop. They were even considering not sending us out in the morning. You'll see some video here coming up later. Morning was fine. We got to go out there, run to where we wanted to. It wasn't too bad. Day two in the afternoon, coming back was rough. It was rolling. You'll see this. I fished some big water up north, Ontario, I don't know, Erie, Oneida, Champlain, all those. And I'm not going to say it completely rivaled them, but I was impressed by what Lake Eufaula could produce out there in Oklahoma. That northwest wind, when it shifted to that direction, you had to take your time. So let's get started off. We'll talk about the morning and then kind of how I progressed, what I was doing. I went back to the same area that I was catching these spawners on day number 1. I was sitting in 17th place like we talked about, 17-11. To day 2, I was hoping I could go in there and kind of repeat it. I went in, I kind of figured it was going to be slower because we had caught a lot of the fish out of there. Cody was in there, Cody Pike was in there also, and there was a couple other guys. And we were all kind of working around each other, and it slowed down a little bit. I was just kind of picking away at them. I think my first fish was like a 2-something, and then I caught a 3. And it was the same thing. I was taking that Z-Man shaky head with that Z-Man finesse worm on it. It's a 7-inch green pumpkin. And I would just pitch it in those rocks. It would be an elastic. It would just sit up, float right in their face, and you could just kind of shake it there, hold it, and it just all of a sudden would either start swimming off on you, or you'd feel like a thunk, and reel down and set the hook on them. So it was really cool. I can't stress enough how important that elastic is, being able to float, really put it in front of their face and catch them that way. But continuing on, it was a little bit tougher, or it was definitely tougher, and I kept working my way around. And then there was this one little stretch I was telling you guys about on day number 1 that I went through, and I caught like 2 3s and a 4-pounder, all pretty quick. And I noticed nobody else had really hit it in the morning. I think one guy went through pretty quick on day 2, but everybody else was working the other rock. So I fished the other rock in the morning, and then I went back through that again. And as I was going through it, I picked up a 2-pounder, and all of a sudden I get another 3-pounder, and then like a big 2. So it jumped me up quick. It put me around that 12, whatever I had that day, 12-10 maybe. And apparently I was doing pretty well on the day, because then they sent in the camera guy from MLF, so you got to watch some of my live coverage fishing, and I was picking off fish here and there. They were little, none of them were helping, and at that point I was ready to get out of my primary area again. I talked to Cody Spence, and he was sitting in second after day 1. Day 2 he said he had 14 back there, so we're like, yeah, let's get out of here. We got enough both to make the cut. Let's save what we got left for day 3, and maybe he has a chance to win it. I can maybe make the top 10 and get some good points out of it again. So I left and I ran down to Longtown. This was by what I was telling you, backup area. I would say it was my B spot. I didn't go there on day 1 because I was trying to save this in case I needed it. And with 12 pounds, I really wanted to get back up to that 14-15 range. That way I could maintain that 17th place. I thought somewhere in that range, 14 or 15 pounds would do that. And I went down there, and there was a lot of people in that area. And with how that wind had really started picking up, it got me closer to the takeoff. So what I did was I went through there, and I was using my Bill Lewis ATV 1.5. This is a new square bill that they came out with. It runs about 4 to 6 foot deep. I would say mine was right at 5 to 6 foot on 12-pound Seaguar in Vizex when I was cranking. And as I'm cranking it down there, I'm working through the area, and I was getting some bites. I got a couple shorts. I think I had 2 that were non-keepers that didn't help me. And what I figured out was that with that wind, it was like a area that I thought was going to be more protected than it was, but it was actually blowing right down the chute of it. So it was white capping pretty hard in there, just kind of beating the bank up. And I ended up leaving an hour early, or an hour to get back. I wasn't doing it until 3:30. I left at 2:30. And I'm glad I did. Just, it was rolling. It didn't take me nearly that long to get back. It took probably not quite a half hour to go, probably 6 miles, something like that. And with that bass cat, I just got my nose up, buried that my jack plate on my Atlas jack plate, put that all the way down, that way you could really grab the water, get a good bite in it, and I just plowed through that. You're just kind of bouncing, pushing, and keep that nose up. You don't want to be diving down, spearing anything, and you just got to be a little bit careful and safe with it that way. But I had the camera guy with me, and we both stayed dry. Like, that Bass Cat Cougar, it's a great boat. We're going straight into the wind, just taking our time. We're doing, I would say, most of it 15 to almost 20 miles per hour, so just kind of cruising. That's one of the main reasons also with that Mercury. You want a 250 horsepower. People are like, well, why do you have such a big motor on such a little boat? Sure, we like to go fast in the morning and really just rip down the lake and buzz and get to where we're going. But also for those situations, you need that power that maybe you're going and all of a sudden there's a big gap and you got a big trough in the wave. You need to be able to power through that. That way you don't dive and spear one of those. So it's another one of those reasons. But by the time we got back in, the wind was pounding so hard on the areas that we could fish the outside the off limits, that I decided let's just pack it in. I went in about a half hour early. It's by far the earliest. I'm usually out there until the last minute. Then I scoot in, fishing right near the off limits, but I didn't think it was going to be worth it. Everything was beat up. I wanted to make sure I got my fish in alive, and I had to get in just to make sure being safe. That got me a check, the awesome, really good points I needed. So from that day, having 12 pounds, it did drop me a little bit. I went from 17th to 24th, but still inside that 50 cut, no problem. You stay inside the top 30, so from 31st to 50th, you get 8 grand. From 30th up to 11th, that's 10. So big difference there in pay. So I had myself set up well for day 3, and I just needed to regroup a little bit that night, re-rig some rods. I was putting a couple more shaky heads on, and a little tweak I made from day 1 to day 2. I'd been throwing my shaky head on 10-pound Tatsu for my leader. I actually bumped that up to 12 on day 2. There was twice that I set the hook and I broke it off, just because when you're dragging in those rocks, this gets beat up from dragging a shaky head. And upping that to 12, it really saved me a lot. Like, I feel like I got a couple more fish in the boat because of it, and I would roll that through the day number 3 then as well. What else is there? It was a good day. I was getting ready to go back out there. We're going to talk about day 3 next. If you haven't seen my practice video, you can go back to that. That's up. Day 1 will be up too. Both of those will hopefully help you. Just some details about the lake itself. The water temp was in the, at this point, high 60s, low 70s, depending on where you're at. Fish were coming up to spawn. There's still a lot of pre-spawners. Down by the dam area, Borum area, that water was clear. Everywhere else was pretty much dirty and chocolate milk. So, yeah, that was kind of a little rundown of what was going on. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you ever been in waves this big, put them in there too. Let me know your experience. So, look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Day 3 will be up next. If you have any thoughts about it, let me know. All right, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye. Definitely not as easy as yesterday. Back in here, I probably had like 13 yesterday, and then I left, and I ended up with 17. Yeah. Yeah.